Okay, Gabe. Gabe is here from 90 Day the Other Way. You have become a just a sensation in so many ways. So let's just start like from the beginning, like the whole thing. 5 years ago, or ever in your life, did you envision yourself being the first trans person on the 90 Day Fiance franchise?
I never envisioned myself being on any type of franchise, not even like 90 Day. I used to watch 90 Day a lot, so I was a fan of the show. So I'm like, oh yes, that's awesome. But I would have never ever imagined in a million years that I would even be dating somebody from another country, actually. Like it goes
Really?
deeper than that. Yeah.
Um, how you got on this show is even interesting because your sister actually catfished you, right? She reaches out to the producers pretending to be you, but it wasn't
Yes.
you.
No.
Okay,
That's
what
so
was
funny.
yeah, tell
Yeah.
me about that.
So I got a call, and a long story short, the lady, she was very confused because she says, "Oh, well, I thought because the email came from a Monica that was your old name, but you didn't update your email." And I was like, "Oh, that's not me. I don't even know what those emails say, so I can only imagine."
So you're both very confused. And then she essentially says to you, the producer says, look, we were interested in your story for 90 Day the Other Way. I mean, were you instantly
Yeah.
like, yes? Or were you like, wait a minute, what is this all about?
I was actually pretty hesitant just because I know that my sister likes to make things a little more interesting than they really are. And so I was kind of confused. They said, "We love your story." I'm like, "I don't know what story you're talking about. What?" And then she explained to me. I was like, more or less, yeah, that's me. So I had to back it up for her and actually, tell her my real life. And she was like, "Oh, well, that's still great. I love it." I was like, "Okay, cool."
You know, just in watching you on TV and then obviously researching you, I mean, you're very open about your entire story, being born biological female, transitioning to male. But I mean, was there a moment when you said yes to this show that you were like, oh, wait, I don't want to be this public? Like, I don't want to be this open.
Yeah. I thought that, my exposure would just come from, my Instagram. I had like a little bit of followers on there, but then YouTube, I was more or less helping people with their transition by explaining what I went through. And then when I got down to it, it's like, oh, sorry. When I got down to that and I really started to think about it, at first, I asked Isabel, I said, "Oh, well, would you want to be, included on this?" And she was like, "Oh, I don't know." So she was kind of going to be my way out of not doing it, kind of, where I could be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I don't know if I want to be this person." But when I said, she said, "You can think about it." When I said yes, I'm like, "Yeah, I'll do it." But then I was kind of hoping Isabel kind of said no, because I know that I'm going to be in the spotlight. And it's just scary for me to just I'm trying to be a good person now. Like, well, I would say I'm a pretty good person overall, but
Yeah.
now I'm trying to like just be an inspiration for people, be the inspiration that they think that I am. So I'm trying to now have to kind of live up to how people perceive me on TV.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. Oh
Yeah.
my Well, take us back. I mean, God, it's just the whole topic of being trans is so hot right now, right? In the media, in shows, for better or worse. Take us back because you had said really you knew from the time you were like 3 years old, right? That you were a boy.
Yeah, I never felt like a girl. I never ever felt like a girl. Just even saying that, it just sounds weird because I feel like I should never say I was a girl. Like it's like, where did that extra step come from? I felt like there was times where my mom would look at me and she said, "Why are you standing like that? Don't stand like that. You're standing like a boy." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." I'm like, "That's me. It's just who I am." And then just some of the things that I would do were just, even for Christmas, all the holidays, everybody got me dinosaurs. I love dinosaurs. Like, get me a truck, get me dinosaurs, get me something. I wanted boy toys. I don't wanted a Barbie. What am I gonna do with that? Like, I don't even like how I look as a girl. And you think you want to buy me a present as a model girl? I don't want this. So just even from the time I was younger, people knew. They were like, because my born name is Natalie. So they would say, I wonder if Natalie is, maybe she's a lesbian. Oh, maybe she's this. And then as time progressed, actually my cousin came out to me. She said, have you ever thought that you were trans? And I was like, no, I'm not that. And I was like, ugh. And I think that's exactly when I started to take hormones, like maybe the first month. So nobody knew at all. And she asked me that question. I was like, oh man, is it noticeable already? Like, I didn't know why she asked that. But when I speak to my grandma now, my grandma says, oh, I accept you because it's your life and I already know since you were little. I'm like, how does my, almost 80-year-old great grandmother from Puerto Rico know that I was trans? I didn't even know I was trans. I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing. But she's like, oh, I already know. I'm like, oh, okay, grandma.
So before you even started taking hormones, you dressed as a boy, right? Like lots of like your elementary school days, your middle school days. And I mean, you were doing that like long before, I mean, maybe like the start of the internet. You're not that old, but you know what I mean? I mean, it was years
No,
ago
yeah.
when it wasn't, I mean, a lot of people weren't talking about it. What was that experience like as a child, being a biological girl, but going to school dressing as a boy? What was that like?
So it was actually, I like to fly under the radar. So when I was younger, I was more kind of reserved, but I did not want to wear girl clothes. I did not want to wear that. So I just chose, the most neutral clothing. I just wore like a t-shirt with basketball shorts every day, like every day of my life, t-shirt, basketball shorts. Because if I were to wear girl jeans, then I would feel feminine because, the cut on it, it's a more fitting cut. And I was not brave enough, or I didn't even know if I was allowed to wear boy pants or boy jeans. So that's when it was like, I think I'll just stick to basketball shorts every day. And then when I got a little more older, I finally kind of got into, I would say, more masculine clothing, only because I wore school uniforms. So when we wear school uniforms, like everybody's wearing the same pant leg, the same shirt and everything. So I was like, oh, I felt like a boy. I loved wearing school uniforms because I felt like no matter what I wear, pants or shorts, everybody's wearing the same. If you're feminine or if you're masculine, you got the same pants on, So it's clothing, it sucked. But there was 2 years that I dressed like a girl in high school for my mom because I was getting older. I was going through puberty. I was looking more like, a woman. I never really had boobs, so I didn't have to worry about that too much. But my mom said, you're such a beautiful girl and I love you so much. And, I just wish you could dress like a little more feminine. And so I did that for her for 2 years. And then it's like, oh, I can't do this anymore. Like, it was exhausting. It's uncomfortable. I think the clothes are uncomfortable. I felt uncomfortable internally. And I felt like everybody was just laughing at me everywhere I go. It was just mentally, I felt like I was just being watched because I'm wearing these weird clothes, even though a woman wearing women clothes is normal. But for me, I didn't feel like a woman. So I felt like every day I wore women's clothing. I felt like I was wearing a Halloween costume and it wasn't Halloween. And it was very embarrassing. Like, people were just staring at me. So it was I was very self-conscious about myself.
And were the other kids aware? Like, did they pick on you a lot, or was there a time in your life, maybe that time when you felt like you really weren't yourself? Like that was when people were, or were people very accepting? I mean, it's interesting.
So I didn't come out as lesbian until I was almost 17. And I actually had my sister